What's up, you guys? Matt with Texas Edge Home Inspections. Let's watch this new construction home inspection go from bad to worse. First thing I want to bring up to you today is the head flashing above this garage here. And what we've got is we've got projected trim coming off the wall here, and we have some Z flashing, some head flashing above this projected trim. Oftentimes when we do these inspections, we don't see this product used at all, none of this flashing here at all, and it needs to be there. And so it's good that they used it here today, but we've got some installation errors that I definitely want to talk to you about. So let's start with that. The first thing I want to talk about is the fact that, okay, you see the two pieces of trim and we see the two pieces of flashing, but they have sealed the flashing to the siding. And so this is actually not going to work now because water needs to go and travel over the siding to be able to get out over the flashing. And if they've sealed it up, that is going to cause water to not be able to go out over the flashing. It'll get dammed up in there, and like in this case, it might go backwards, and then it might start to cause some rot to the header above this garage door, or whatever window it is that we have this flashing over. In this case, we're talking about the garage door, but this scenario definitely goes on over windows as well. Now, when we see this flashing used, we oftentimes find it in this condition, and builders get away with it. Why is that? Because homes are built with control layers, and so this is control layer number one, the flashing and the sealant, right? If something gets past that, then we should have everything back here should be properly sealed and flashed to the weather barrier. And that should be bulletproof. That should keep water from getting into the structure. However, we shouldn't be just relying on that to be our only control layer. We need to let water get out instead of damming up and making it go back where it's not supposed to go. And so what happens is the builder is relying on this sealant here to keep water out instead of letting it out. And over time, that's going to fail. Well, it's not going to be noticed right away. That rot's going to happen over time. This house is going to change hands. And the next thing you know, somebody's dealing with a problem down the line, 2 or 3 owners down the line. This build is not under warranty anymore. And so it's at the cost of the homeowner to get these type of problems fixed. That's why they need to be installed properly from the get-go, and we need to have this flashing installed, but it doesn't need to be sealed to the siding. This is in the manufacturer's installation instructions. There's supposed to be a gap, and you don't seal that gap, and that is to let water out. Now, while it's always a good idea to put this flashing here, I will say that if the overhang or the soffit hangs out 4 times more than the distance from the top of the flashing to the soffit itself, then the flashing isn't needed. But in this case, that's not the case at all. We got a soffit that hangs out not even twice the height here. And so definitely need the flashing here, and it's good that they put it here, but it's not going to perform in this shape. Still talking about the siding here, I want to talk to you about where this siding is installed over brick. By the manufacturer's installation instructions, we are supposed to have flashing in between these two building materials and a gap where water can get out. Again, the builder is now, they have just slammed the siding on top of this brick ledge here, and they have sealed this up, and they are relying on this sealant to keep water out. And if it gets back there, I suppose possibly it could go through the weep holes, but the problem is this isn't installed up to the manufacturer's instructions. There is supposed to be a gap here, and there's supposed to be flashing under, and so if water was to get back there, it's supposed to flow out and away and not have to go back into the wall cavity. So again, this is something we find this a lot, but it's the same type of situation where they're sealing the flashing above the garage door. We're not even attempting to let water out. We're trying to keep it out, and we're trying to keep it out with caulking, and that's just not the best approach. Still on the siding, I want to talk about this area right here. It looks like we did not run the trim all the way down. This piece of trim right here should have extended all the way down to the roof, and or at least close to the roof, and then gone around the piece of flashing that's here. And they did not do that, so that leaves an opening for moisture and rodents. And you've got another one going on, same thing right over here. So we've got this side over here, and then this side over here, the exact same scenario. Might even be able to see this one a little bit better. There's a pretty big opening. Let's see the other side of it. Yeah, right there. I saw these filters sitting over here, so apparently the builder has changed the air filters recently, and that's great, but these are just hammered. So you really wish that these wouldn't have gone so long, and maybe they would have changed them sooner. And this is why high-performance home builders like Matt Reisinger of the Build Show and Ryan Rush of Brick House Design Build, they run systems that do not belong to this house, an ancillary system that they run outside, so that way the house stays conditioned and cool and all of that during the build process. But the system that is on the house never actually gets run and used while it's under the construction process. And it's actually, besides being tested, it is brand new when the owner gets it. And so you can guarantee that none of this nasty stuff has ever gone through the system. That's about all in the exterior. So let me grab my ladder and get on the roof and let's see what we can find up there. All right, let me take you around and show you some things on the roof, although I'm probably gonna have to do some voiceover on this part of the video because
the yard guys showed up. Mad respect for them and what they do, but I'm not gonna try to talk over them. But while they work, I've got work to do too. Now you look at this roof and you pretty much see nothing wrong at first glance, but you gotta go in and look a little bit closer, because the closer we go in, we start to see little tiny things like this. This nail's in the wrong place and it's eventually gonna rust out and create an area where we could potentially leak water into the house. Now let's see if we can find another one. You gotta look close because these things are very hard to find sometimes. But if you do look close and take your time, you see more of them. And I wish I could say that was all, but unfortunately it's not, because as we continue to look, we see another one right about here. And if we keep going around on the other side here, there's another one here and here. Now something looks a little bit odd back here. This one plumbing vent doesn't look like the rest of them. This one right here doesn't have any paint on it. And this one here, well, wait a minute. This one looks oddly familiar. We're gonna come back to you. Okay, you see these other ones have paint on them, but this one doesn't look right. And as we get a little bit closer, we realize this boot isn't installed properly at all. Now it's a different one than the rest of them, but the way they've got it installed here without the shingles laying over the sides, it's just gonna allow moisture to get underneath it. It's not fastened down. This whole thing is wrong.
I'm up in the attic now and I want to talk to you a little bit about what I like and what I don't like of what they've done with this attic hatch here. Now attic hatches, especially on older houses, can be huge areas of energy loss. They used to not do anything to insulate those attic pull down ladders, and we would just, you can see with the thermal camera we'd use on older house inspections that we're just losing a ton of energy through those spaces. They sell some retrofit kits to add some insulation on those that actually do a really good job. But in this case, and in most new construction houses, we have an insulated attic ladder pull down. And not only that, but it's weather stripped around the attic hatch opening itself. And so we're not losing really any energy through there at all. But again, you can buy these retrofit situations, and they have done that here. In addition to that, which I think they were trying to do something even better, they have installed this canopy style zip up insulated cover to go around the attic hatch. I mean, this can be great, like I say, for retrofit situations. They have some different types of these. This one I don't think was the right one to use in this area. I actually don't think it should be used at all. I'm going to try to show you why. Check it out. So let's just say I'm up here in the attic space and I'm wanting to service the furnace here, or maybe change the air filter. And you can see that we have this little step up to get there, and then we have another step up before we get there, which is maybe about 12 inches here. And then we have our little zip up canopy here. And that comes up maybe about 14, 15 inches, something like that. And you can see we have very little space to put our foot if we're going to get down. Now normally we might like swing to that little landing there, but it's kind of dangerous because we've got, you know, this canopy to kind of scale over before we get there. So I guess what we're going to do is we're going to attempt to maybe put one foot here on the edge here, which obviously does not feel that secure or safe. And then we can, as I'm holding on to a pearl embrace here, swing the other foot onto the attic ladder itself, and okay, now we can get down. But that just doesn't feel like something I really want the homeowner doing and trying to go over this, you know, 14, 15 inch canopy here. It feels like a trip hazard. I don't like it. So for those reasons, and the fact that we have an insulated door already and weather stripped, I just don't see the need to have this at all, especially not this one. It does have a caution, watch your step sticker. I just don't feel like that's enough warning. And I feel like this overall is just a trip hazard and a safety hazard, and I think it should come out. So I ended up being correct. That vent I saw on the roof, it was familiar. I did a pre-drywall inspection a few months back, and I found this vent that was going right through the valley, and I suggested that they move it because it's a high traffic area for water. Well, they did move it, but look what they did. This is where the vent was coming up originally. They relocated it over there, and as you follow it up, this is where it used to be, and they left a gaping hole in the roof. That is daylight. That is an area where water can just now get right down into the house. As promised, it gets worse. Now I want you to keep in mind in this next little clip here that it's a very mild temperature day outside. It's 82 degrees outside, okay? I want you to keep that in mind as I show you something, and then imagine it on a really hot or really cold day. Check it out. This is a bedroom ceiling, and we're looking at about 72 degrees up there. Here is the game room, 74 degrees. And then when we get in here, here is above the living room. Check it out. That's the living room here. You can see the color difference, right? 80 degrees, so it's pretty much the outside temperature. And that is because they did not insulate this entire area above the living room. You can't make this up. This thermal camera, it doesn't lie. It tells me what's going on up there. And I cannot access that area of the attic. I've tried to get over in that space, but I can't get there. But it doesn't mean I can't take a look at it with the thermal camera and determine that we definitely have a major problem. All right, you guys, in classic fashion, that is not all I found today, but that's all that's going to go in this video. I got to get out of here because I got another inspection to get to. You guys give me a call so I can inspect your next house. Matt with Texas Edge Home Inspections. Catch you on the next one. Bye now.